Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And my question, I will start with Mr. Tony first. Some of the presenters earlier today presented some number which was kind of astonishing for me. They said about affordable houses, about 90+% of those houses are built with partnership with a non-profit or a charitable or a community-based I would say non-for-profit organization who help pushing the envelope to get that done with the city, which in majority of cases, the city could waive some of the DCs or all of the DCs to help the community and get the affordable housing going on. So when we look into this statistics, that give us an idea that we need to encourage more of that, because that's 90% of what's happened already anyway. So don't you see that waiving the DCs for those small organizations could encourage those non-for-profit organizations with very limited resources to get a project going and add more affordable housing to the cities?
Absolutely. I agree with you, and there are a lot of communities that don't charge them DCs because they really want to encourage housing to come, or they are flexible in sort of what they do, what they do charge, because they really want to be able to encourage different housing types in their communities. It's absolutely a great approach, and we certainly support that.
Ms. Bahar, if you can comment on this as well.
Absolutely. The exemption, the DC's exemption, is going to help nonprofits, cooperatives to provide the housing, the deeply affordable housing that so many low and moderate income people need. But we also need governments to invest in that type of housing because, as you mentioned, the operational costs, it's not just to build the housing, but they need to keep it running. And those are really expensive.
Sure, I get your point about that. But again, talking in general, like now we leave that piece, we'll talk about general, the housing general, the crisis, housing crisis we have currently. We know that even rental apartments, like we didn't see any rental corporations coming to build rental buildings recently because it's very difficult to maintain the base and maintain profit margin into this with the maintenance and the control over the rent and stuff. They feel that it's not worth investing in, basically. So don't you see that adding more flexibility using the bill to encourage companies to invest into generally, I'm talking about general rental market, and get more rental units available?
So, thank you for the question.
Not talking about the affordable, I'm talking about rental general. Like in Mississauga, you can have a wait of a year to find one rental apartment, please.
Thank you, and I'm a renter, so I'm quite intimately familiar with how difficult it is to find affordable housing. I think we taking a rights-based approach is really important here because we need to adopt policies that are going to really turn the lives of those who are most impacted by the affordable housing crisis around, and those are lower income people. And so we have seen rentals being built since 2017. They're luxury rentals. Their rents are way out of reach for people. So there needs to be conditions. So if the government is going to support purpose-built rental developments through, let's say, some financing tools, there need to be conditions also in place that what is going to be built is affordable housing.
That's if the government is basically adding some financial help in there.
The conditions need to be in place that it's affordable housing, and the affordability needs to be defined in a way that is actually in reach for people who are lower income households. Yes.
Yeah, but like you don't see that happening now? Whenever, as far as I know, of course I could not be the expert on the subject, but as far as I know, if the government is putting any money towards building affordable houses, there is all conditions in the agreement which make sure that they have control over the pricing and the number of units and everything. So that's not part of that bill, though. I'm just saying in general, the control of the number of units and the price and everything is, if the government's doing that agreement, it's already there. Like any government financial involvement, money from the government, it have conditions come to it. So that's taken care of. But this bill is not touching that. The bill is trying to encourage building generally, encourage adding more capacity, because we have almost 450,000 people coming every year to Canada, new immigrants, they need housing. We have our own kids growing and they need housing. Like, there is need for housing. We are in a big crisis in housing generally. I'm not talking affordable or non-affordable or condo or all kinds, in all aspects of it. So don't you see in this bill, any item could help in increasing those number of units available in the market?
If I understand your question correctly, is that as long as we add supply, that the price of housing will drop. First of all, we do have a exemption on rent control for any residential units built after November 15th, 2018. So people could be economically evicted by their rents being risen beyond what they can pay within a year. So I think there are many other, it's a complex issue, and we really need to think about the supply question in conjunction with the preservation of the existing housing, in terms of strengthening rent protections for tenants, and in regulating the market so that we can direct developers to build the right type of housing that we need.
60 seconds left.
Yeah, I would just say to that, that's certainly, from our point of view, we believe that building more supply is absolutely fundamental to us really getting out of this crisis in a meaningful way. That's all housing types. For my members, it is true that over the last few decades, a lot of the rental housing that's been built in Toronto has been higher rent. That's not because that's all they wanted to build. That's because that's all that's been viable. Those are the projects that have been viable given the economic conditions. That's why rentals have been built at much greater pace than apartments. So provisions in this bill that speak to both addressing government fees and charges, but also address the time it takes and the duplication and the redundancies that end up getting to 7 years for you to be able to get shovels in the ground. All those things, of course, will get more housing built. Speed up the time it takes to get projects approved. Look at the government fees and charges. They can maybe be sort of reduced in some ways for rental apartments, and they will get built. And of course, our members build all over the province. They build different kinds of units for different kinds of incomes, different kinds of family needs. They're going to do a lot more of that.